What's up, everyone? Oh no, it's playing in the background. There we go. Fixed it. Sorry, guys. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Garden. I just remembered I've been reading from the digital files because I'm looking for mistakes to hunt down. Hope everyone is having a good day today. We got Mason over in the comments doing his previously on, which I'm both tremendously thankful for and entertained by. So, Mason, if you want to continue on with that, feel free, my friend.
Please do.
The last one he did was quite good.
Yes. It was quite funny. I love it. Because I can imagine doing it in the voice. Previously on.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Hero low-key rich shamed Kira's family for having sleepers, but who cares? Kira.
And the shipping continues.
Oh, I love this guy. Oh man.
Yes, man. Well, look, he's just giving you a taste of what is to come in future. You will have people who are like, no, I'm Team Amnes.
I just can't. I'm just. It's gonna be interesting once we really do get a following to see what that community looks like.
Yeah, I'm
I'll receive a touching present from his late father. Knives sharper than literal rock. I mean, a lot of things are sharper than literal rocks, man. Sharp, you should say sharp enough to cut literal rocks. And they're not knives. They're great swords. Well, they're not great swords. They're claymores. That would be a proper description. As a proper description of that type of sword that he now dual wields. Because fuck yeah, dual wielding claymores.
Dude. There's like, no one can match the strength of my wrists.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Without further ado or further jackassery from yours truly, let's get into it. I'm gonna adjust my screen here so I can actually read comfortably and everything.
Yes, and people can see you.
Alrighty. Oh no. 1 second. 1 second. I fucked up.
Oh no.
There you go. Okay. Do those recaps seem accurate or serious to you? No? So shut up. How about you shut up and listen to my story then? Yet.
Cup of tea in anticipation.
Garden of Lies, Chapter 11. I'm Bankrupt. Come on, man. It's my dad's method. You have to show me. Gendir stares at me blankly, unimpressed by my appeal. He was fairly impressed when I told him what the long sword had done. In fact, I think it was the most reaction I have ever gotten from him. Got apprentices. Don't want another, he replies. I'm not asking for a full apprenticeship, Gendir. Just show me one time. I'll even pay you. He raises an eyebrow at that. Materials, plus time. What's your time worth? He seems to consider that. 10 Magnus. Damn. That's food for a week. But I gotta see this method. It's important to me, and it was important to my old man. Fine, if I keep what we make. He nods his head. Memory not perfect. Need paper. Okay, I'll bring it. Can we do this tonight? He seems to contemplate that as well, then nods. I nod back and turn around to leave. Gotta finish up my projects in the shop back home. then take a nap so I can be fresh for my lesson tonight. I return home and spend a day working in the shop. An order of horseshoe repairs takes me a few hours. Then I have to make some bands for wine barrels. Overall, the workload does not leave me much time for sleep, but I manage to catch a brief nap. When Pogs gets back from his errands into town, he tells me he haggled the baker to a 15% discount for the inconvenience. They wanted it half off. When I tell him he has more deliveries to make, he gathers the items and takes off without complaint. He's a loyal and helpful friend. That night, I go into town and meet Gendir. After locking up his shop, we go into the back where his forge is ready to go. He asks for the instructions and briefly reviews them. Then we get to work. There are steps to making this particular alloy of Novlum steel that make no damn sense to me. Gendir admits they make no sense to him either. He just followed the instructions to the letter. Once we get the smelter going, we throw in our iron ore. We throw in charcoal for carbon, like normal. Then we add the Novlum flakes, but quite a bit more than normal. Here's where my old man must have known something we don't know. We add in dried and ground mushrooms, a fine powder made from amanita mushrooms. I'll explain that at the end of this if you want me to, guys. I would think my old man had lost his mind, but my sword cut through granite like it was particularly hard butter. It takes hours for the smelter to get us chunks of material to use. Gendir gets to keep all the chunks we aren't using. Then, once we have the raw material from the smelter, it goes into a crucible lined with razor grass. Clean sand goes in over the chunks of metal, and now we cook that until it is liquid. We work through the night, but Gendir says we aren't done yet. Once the crucible has cooled, we remove a more refined material than what the smelter alone gave us. After this, the instructions call for a continuous heating-cooling cycle. During this cycle, we shape it when it is at its hottest. To stop completely could ruin our material, the instructions say, so we never let the metal get cool enough to touch. What makes it take so damn long is we do not quench it. The instructions explicitly say air cooling only. Gendir has to have his apprentice open and run the shop the next day. We still must work this metal. We take many, many hours to shape the metal in its hot phases, until finally we have the shape of our blade. Now that it has been through the required number of heat cycles, we can let it fully cool. We now use traditional bladesmithing methods to refine a knife of my own design, somewhere between a fencer's parrying dagger and a survival knife. This knife is important later in the story. Just, oh God. But I can't wait to get to book 2. The serrations are deep enough to catch an enemy's blade, but unlike normal blade catch grooves, they are angled down towards the handle and are much narrower than conventional designs. It is a straight 7 inches and double-edged. However, most importantly, once we are finished working the blade, we put our final polish and acid treatment on it. A pattern very similar to my swords emerges. I would have to do this process dozens of times to figure out what causes the variance in patterns, but for now, I am content that my father's final legacy survives in me. We finish assembling the knife, and as promised, it is mine to keep. It will make a fine hidden weapon. Gendir, this is my father's legacy. I trust you won't try to take it. He glares at me. Ain't no thief. Possessions or ideas. Right, yeah. Sorry, I just had to be sure. Thank you. He nods. I leave his shop nearly 35 hours after I entered, but I leave with valuable knowledge and skills. It's time to gather all my friends who are coming to the trial. We have work to do. I go to get Amnes first. Here you go, Mason. I go to get Amnis first. Her family estate is like mine in that it is outside town proper, but the similarity ends there. 2 miles outside town, off the main road heading west toward the Leviathan Sea, the Lupines live in a 3-story manor, with a tower at each corner of the massive structure. Their estate is surrounded on all sides by a 7-foot-high brick wall, covered in grapevines far as I can see in the dim light of mid-evening. As I approach, I see a small army of slaves tending the budding vines, cutting off old growth, watering the bases, distributing fertilizer. It is no wonder the Lupine family winery produces enough to supply Three Fang, Foxhole, and several other villages. Apparently, her servants know me by reputation, because though I have never been here before, they begin calling out to announce my arrival. I hear the announcement carry through the estate until it echoes over from near the manor, where it suddenly stops. Guess the message made it to its final destination. As I approach the gates, they open for me. The slaves give me a wide berth in respect. They are well dressed for field hands. I guess when you're old money like the Lupines, even the servants get to look dandy. Inside the estate walls, grapevines dominate the scenery, broken only occasionally by wells and one gazebo near the west wall. It is a mile walk from the front gate to the front door of the manor. Excuse me. Sorry. I am greeted outside by 3 attendants, all lovely human women in fine maidwear. Hello, Direthorn. It is our pleasure to welcome you to the Lupine estate. Lord Rune Lupine will greet you inside. He has had a spot readied for you at his table. Oh, I didn't really intend to crash dinner. I can wait or come back in the morning. The speaker smiles softly and suddenly tilts her head. Lord Amnis said you would say something like that. The Lupines insist you join them. I look at myself. I am covered in soot and dirt. The maid sees my concern and addresses it. I will show you to the washroom and provide you a change of clean clothes to wear to dinner, Direthorn. I sigh. I guess I'm not getting out of this now. I motion with my hand for her to lead the way, and I step inside behind her. I notice she did not once call me master or lord. I wonder if Amnis coached them on interacting with me. I step in behind the maids, and am not disappointed with the level of refinement and culture which is tastefully displayed, all while maintaining a certain rustic charm at the root of the look. This place looks like Amnis grew up here, feels like it, even smells like it. I don't know what I thought her house would smell like, but now that I am smelling it, I don't think any other smell would fit. The maids usher me to the back of the receiving room, where a large staircase goes up to the second and third floors. The 2 quiet ones depart, leaving me with the speaker, as we walk up the expertly made stairs of beautiful hardwood and arrive on the second floor. A few doors down the hall, and we arrive at the washroom she spoke of. She waves me in, and to my slight surprise follows in behind me. Once again anticipating my objection, she speaks first. You will need assistance to bathe fully in a short amount of time. The Lupines have patience, but do not like being forced to exercise it. Please comply and allow me to wash your back and hair. I mutter complaints under my breath, but turn to comply. As awkward as it is being washed by a total stranger, her hands are soft and warm when she helps lift my shirt. My, you have quite the collection of scars, she says as she begins scrubbing my back with a warm cloth. I hesitantly remove my trousers and begin scrubbing my lower bits. I wait till I'm done with those to reply. Yeah, kind of comes with the territory. The territory of being a warrior, she asks for clarification. Yes. Ah, I see. Something in her tone makes me wonder if I missed something, but she says nothing else as she dunks the cloth in the herbal water and begins using it with a comb to clean my hair. I do not know whether I am simply much faster, or if she is much more thorough, or if it is some other reason, but I have finished my whole body when she is only just finishing my hair. I investigate my image in the mirror affixed to the wall behind the wash bins. Whatever it is in the water is bringing out a shine and luster I didn't know my hair could have. It's been blonde my whole life, but now it looks almost sun-bleached, like I've been in the far south for months. I don't know if I like it or not. Is that whitening of my hair permanent? That is merely the effect of one of the oils in the water. It will fade as the oil leaves your hair. Neat! She helps me dress in the fine clothes Amnes's father has lent me for the occasion. Good thing, too, because I had no clue what to do with half the laces and toggles before she showed me. I've never worn clothes like these, and I very much doubt I ever will again. They are not as comfortable as my simple hide breeches and shirt. The shoes are very stiff. The breeches right up in the crotch. The shirt feels like getting an angry hug from a weak person. To top all that off, when I look in the mirror, I swear I've seen manlier looking adolescent girls. Is this really the style among the nobles these days? I ask. Yes, Direthorn. Why do you ask? I look like a jackass. I make a show of waving my puffy cuffs and attempting to stretch my absurdly tight pants. She snickers but quickly stifles it. You will appear most charming to Lord Rune and his lady Deannis. She assures me my own effects will be cleaned and made ready for my departure. As we leave the washroom and go back down the stairs, we proceed to the dining room, which is off to the left of the receiving room and through one smaller room that appears to be a lounge of sorts. The maid opens one pair of ornate double doors and ushers me inside. I proceed, and she follows me in. At a large rectangular table big enough to seat 8, Lord Rune Lupine is seated at the head, with his wife seated to the left of him. Amnes's brother, Ignis, who I know only through what Amnes has told me, is seated next to his mother. Amnes sits opposite the pair. All eyes turn to me as I enter. Rune and Ignis give me appraising looks as I enter. Amnes looks amused. Her mother looks hungry, and not for food. Welcome, Mad Wolf, Dire Wolf, Dalj Thorn. Welcome to my home, Rune says, in a commanding and welcoming voice that conveys both authority and hospitality. I bow, right hand over my chest, left at my side. I thank you for opening your home to me. I must apologize for my rudeness. I did not mean to intrude on your evening, I say, drawing from lessons on manners Engiel afforded me. Apparently I pass muster. Rune seems satisfied with my response and motions for me to be seated next to Amnes. As I approach and take my seat, I notice that Amnes landed smack in the middle of her parents where looks are concerned. Her mother has the emerald eyes where Amnes received her left eye, and the red hair Amnes is so known for. Amnes also inherited her mother's womanly curves and exotic lines. It is also her mother who has the pointed ears. So unless I'm wrong, Rune married into the Lupine family and took their name. That's an interesting. Rune gave Amnes her right eye, although his are a darker, colder sapphire than hers. He also gave her the strength of features, the warrior's shoulders, and the cheekbones. His hair is raven black and hangs to his upper back. Amnes's brother Ignis took scarce little from his mother, except maybe her fair skin. Otherwise, he is a youthful copy of his father with pointed ears. I seat myself next to Amnes, and the maid proceeds around the table setting out dishes and preparing to serve the meal. Other slaves file in and out, bringing platters and decanters of wine and mead. Dire Thorn, to what do I accredit your presence This evening, Rune asks me. I clear my throat and speak in my most clear and intellectual voice. Amnis will be under my command during the trial of war. I have come to collect her for the purpose of joint training between our packs. We must be ready if we are to distinguish ourselves. He nods his head. A good and wise answer. One that surprises me after your conduct at the fountain party. I must admit, you impressed upon me that you were a fool who won by dumb luck with your antics. I must say, it is a relief to see evidence to the contrary. I don't know whether to be offended or complimented. Amnis apparently reads my thoughts from my face and interjects. I told you, Father, Direthorn is a most impressive specimen, even if his conduct leaves something to be desired at times. Rune nods, but I'm staring at Amnis. I've never heard her speak as she does now. The manners, the light voice, and respectful tone? Must be her addressing my parents' voice or something. The slaves finish bringing in the food, and the one who conducted me inside, as well as an older male, stand off to the side of the double doors, finely dressed and waiting to heed beck and calls. Their trained subservience makes me sick. We differ from most noble households in that we serve ourselves at the table. I have never understood the appeal of having a servant make my plate as if I were a child. Please help yourself, Direthorn, Rune says as he begins cutting into the large roast. It's beef medium well, marinated then cooked in wine and herbs. He serves himself, then his wife, then goes about the other dishes as he pleases. I wait till my hosts have all filled their plates before I begin filling mine. I did, however, grab some mead while I waited. It tastes of happiness and sunshine. A finer mead I've had not. Rune begins cutting into the roast on his plate, making small, in fact, excuse me while I... It does taste of happiness and sunshine. Rune begins cutting, making small bite-sized pieces before eating them. There is quite the buzz about you in certain circles, Direthorn. May I address you by your first name? I politely nod, mouth full of mashed potatoes and grilled onions. I fucking love mashed potatoes and grilled onions. He continues. There is a rumor Argos Anathema himself offered you a position in his household. I almost chuckle. This gets everyone's attention. Or, excuse me. Wrong word. Very wrong word. I almost choke. This gets everyone's attention. My reflexive action answered for me. Damn it. I swallow. He did. I have not given him my response. Have you decided on a response yet? He presses. I am trying to figure out how to politely decline, but please keep that between us. I'm not trying to piss the guy off. Rune grins and lightly chuckles, as does Ignis. Ignis picks now to join the conversation. It seems I have misjudged you, Dalj. I must admit, I believed you would take the offer. I give him a blank look. Why would you think that? Ignis shrugs. I am aware your family has lived a humble existence since your line arrived in Three Fang. I've merely expected the allure of wealth to have more appeal. Nothing more. He speaks softly, making it clear with his voice he did not mean to offend. He has, though. The anathema name is soaked in the blood of slaves. I'm sure that means little to the lupines, but it sickens me. Rune clears his throat in a manner clearly meant to grab the conversation back. Your answer pleases me, Dol. Your answer pleases me, I must say, Dalj. Argos has been something of a personal rival ever since his Crichton son showed such blatant disrespect and disregard for our amness during the joint pack drills. My daughter still wears scars from that incident. I know. I was there. Indeed, you were. Do tell, why did you react so viscerally? You and Amnis had not even yet become friends. Father, I've told you. I raise a hand to stop her. It's fine, Amnis. I don't remember much from that day. All I can tell you is I inherited a soft spot for women from my old man. Arian always treated her like dirt. I hated him for that as much as I hated him for how he treated me. When I saw red, I lost it. After that, all I saw was black, until I woke up. They all seemed to be fairly interested in the story. Looking at me for eye contact, Rune seems to be analyzing Deannis. Oh, excuse me, I read that wrong. Looking at me for eye contact, Rune seems to be analyzing. Deannis is smiling with a sparkle in her eye. I can't quite read Ignis. Well, your words certainly line up with your actions. It appears my daughter has found a diamond in the rough, after all. I get the sense from you that you are very genuine and direct, Dalj. Perhaps even beyond what my daughter has impressed upon me about you. So I feel I owe you the courtesy of information which pertains to you. That gets my attention, and Amnis's. I set my glass down and make eye contact with Rune. It has come to my attention that certain elements of the Grand Council have you in their sights. For what reasons, I am not sure, but I am sure it is a place you wish not to be. Sadly, I have little more information than that. These things are passed along in subtle remarks and hushed whispers, you understand. But I would advise you to act the model direwolf of the Shaman Empire and ingratiate yourself promptly. The way he says it makes my skin prickle. The subtle inflection, the carefully placed emphasis. I'm not social elite, but I'm not dumb either. This is a warning, most dire. Damn, I can't take anything seriously, can I? Father, why have I not heard of this? Amnis seems a little upset. It is recent news, my dear. However, I am also not required to report to you, now am I? I sense some old family drama here. Amnis scoffs and finishes her wine before refilling. Is there anything else you can tell me? I ask Rune. He shakes his head slightly. In the business of information, he shakes his head slightly. In the business of information, I am bankrupt. I can merely advise caution. After dinner, I wait outside while Amnis gets together some effects and clothes. I'm glad to be back in mine. I am sitting on a bench to the side of the main path when Ignis walks out the front door. He is holding a pipe. He stops to light it with a lantern on the front door frame, then comes to me. May I? He gestures to the seat. Your house, I say. He grins and takes a seat. Would you care for a puff? He offers the pipe. I shake my head no. Smoking various herbs is all the rage among the nobles. I never saw the appeal. The habit is an assault on my olfactory sense. He takes a heavy inhale, then smoothly exhales through his nose. I must confess, there is one other reason I thought you would accept Argos's offer. I figured. Let's hear it. He inhales again, lighter this time. I figured you might like the opportunity to rub dirt in Arian's eyes. For a change. I turn my head away and sigh. I'm not petty, and even if I was, it would be an empty gesture now. Little creep up and died on me. Ignis inhales again, seemingly burning through the last of his herb. Standing, he taps his pipe out on the side of the bench. Indeed. Good evening, Direthorn, and good hunting. He turns and returns to the house. I do not like him. Amnes appears a few minutes later. I rise and we begin walking off grounds. Your brother is kind of a ponce. She smiles. One dinner with nobles, and now you're saying ponce? I hear the amusement in her voice. What can I say? I like picking up new words, especially insults. She swats me lightly in the chest with the back of her hand. I just grin. He tends to think he's the smart one in the room. I inhale sharply. Oh man, someone's got to tell him, I say sarcastically, which gets me a laugh. The walk into town is uneventful. When we arrive in town, we split ways to gather our people, and I tell her how to get to my place. We agree to meet there before midnight and start training first thing in the morning. On my way to Class's house, you'll never guess who I bump into along the way. Hey, Tyler, what's up, dog? Senkotsu says as he waves to me. The girl he was apparently flirting with uses my arrival as an out and makes an excuse to head home. Despite his best efforts to save it, Sin loses the prospect. Man, that was awkward to watch, Cat. Haha, brilliant retort. I'll have to use it sometime, he says, dripping snide sarcasm and giving me a blank stare. I keep walking past and he takes up stride beside me. So, what's good? What's good? I ask. Yeah, what's good? You know, what's going on? What are you doing? What's good? Huh. Must be a cat thing. On my way to gather the pack. Oh, tight. What are we doing with the pack? Who said we? Why do you want to come? He shrugs. Honestly, I'm just bored as void, man. Not much to do around here. I sigh. Fine, you can tag along, I guess. But once we start training, you gotta skedaddle. Tight. We walk along, banter as usual. He's telling me some funny story about this Tyler guy. I make a show of disinterest, deliberately to piss Sin off. We round a corner, and I can see Claspin's house. The wind suddenly changes, and I smell something like burnt sage. Ow! The void? Sin says as he reaches up to his neck. I turn my head to see, but suddenly feel a pinch on my own neck. I reflexively reach up and grab a dart from my neck. Me and Sin lock eyes for a second, before I start falling. Oh, fuck. This has been Chapter 11 of The Garden of Lies. I'm Bankrupt. All right. Let's go to the comments here. I saw it, man. It looked like fucking Mason was over here live tweeting.
Yeah. As usual.
As usual, which
which we love.
So that was Chapter 11. Thank you all so much for being here, as usual. Low-key, received sips. Food versus sharp metal things. Priorities. Dalj priority. So sending Pogs to haggle. Citizen charged with racketeering. Hey, when you're negotiating with a dude who's 6 feet tall and probably 250 of muscle,
yeah,
you lower the price. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
So, Yeah, so what are the mushrooms for? So a fun little fact about that smithing recipe, that's real world metallurgy. If you don't know anything about the history of metallurgy, I'll give you the cliff notes here. There's this fabled alloy called Damascus. It's actually referred to as Wootz Damascus. In its day, it was called Damascus, but now there's a bastardization alloy that people are running around calling Damascus. But the true Damascus is not what people call Damascus now. So they've renamed the true Damascus Wootz Damascus steel, and it's the closest thing to a fantasy sword you'll get in real life.
Mhm.
It is profoundly hard, somehow still flexible, and it will cut through other swords like butter. And that is not an exaggeration. I've seen the videos. It's an insanely good alloy. And I researched how to make it. The modern scientists still aren't totally sure about all of the neat tricks that went into making these swords, but there are some modern metallurgists who have gotten really fucking close. And I watched a documentary on it, and I mimicked the steps outlined in that documentary and gave you the cliff notes in that forging process. The mushrooms are my take on how to get a very specific mineral that you need for this alloy. There's this alloy that only shows up in iron ore in this area in Persia, Damascus. That's why it was called Damascus steel. And this mineral, I can't remember the name right now, but essentially, when it's properly alloyed with the steel, it's what causes that beautiful, like, raindrop pattern in the steel, and what gives it its insane toughness yet flexibility. It's really good. And interestingly enough, a bioavailable form of that mineral is naturally absorbed by Amanita mushrooms. So I have no proof. I want to do this someday. I want to use the forging method I hypothesized to see if it would work, because it's a different form of the same mineral. So I don't know for sure it would work, but I think it might. So I'm going to test that out someday.
Try.
Dalj, Zach, being a smithy head teacher does. Hey, I'm not, yeah, dude, I fucking love. When I was a younger man, I thought about going and getting a PhD for metallurgy. Metalworking is fascinating to me.
Yeah. And what I think is kind of funny too is another name for those swords was the Road to Damascus swords, because the historian that was talking about it, he said that it you will see the light and have a come to Jesus moment.
No wonder he's charging so much. It is an intensive process to make these fucking things, because that now in real life you can. Here's one place I deviated a little bit, but also there was an issue of expediency for the plot. So in real life you could just let it cool and go back to working it the next day after you slept. But of course, I'm on a time crunch with how much time my characters have till the thing they got to get to. So I just decided to straight through it.
Yeah, be like it.
Well, stop teasing us. I will never stop teasing you. You guys have to share my shit around and help me get this to 1.5K so that we can do the second book. Remember, if you get this channel to 1.5K subs before the end of book 1, I will do book 2 for free. Share this around. Tell people to sub. Knows he's got a blind audience who literally can't read his books, won't get to book 2 for like a year. Copyright the creator has asserted their moral. I'll watch the replay later, guys. All right. Have a good day, Lauren. Take care of yourself. She's probably, now that I think about it, she's probably gone. That was made forever ago. Damn rich person house in an army of slaves. Dalj isn't going to like that cure. Oldie has a head full. Nervous call. straight up making him have a bath, but Amnes calls him Dirty Dalj, not Clean Dalj. He named him Dirty Dalj. Haven't I already alluded to the fucking reason haven't I already covered the memory that is the reason he got that nickname from her?
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah, it's early on in the book, that dream. Yeah, the time she kicked him and he fell in mud. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, collection of scars. That's what you were looking at. Yeah, not his manly, rippling muscles. Not his, yeah.
I feel like, where were you going?
Shampoo, Dalj. At your wedding to the I will have you know that Amnes and Dalj are minimalists. So if they were to get married, no, they would not wear that kind of bullshit. Both of them are the less the better kind of people. Scars, indeed. Right, Kate, that's how I spell abs. Dalj's abs are a little nicer than mine, so they're pretty good. Dalj has no concept of being a guest. I look like a jackass, he says to the probably hey, ruined the face. Okay, he has some level of decorum. I love it. Maybe that's why Zach didn't spell it that. Oh, you want to fight? So you want to fight? I mean, yeah, all right. I'm kind of blind guy. Fuck it, my reputation is already in the shitter. It's her daddy voice. He doesn't just shove huge chunks in his mouth. That's how I eat. I'm the one. Okay. Turn to poker face, Dalj. He's a very earnest person. Okay, very earnest wolf.
He's like, poker, but I don't even know her.
I'm at Kira's house. Poor Amnes being so privileged. Listen, you asked for more Amnes. I gave you an entire dinner at her house, man. And what more do you want? It's called empathy. Try it sometime. Oh no, political intrigue? Zach Sanderson, R.R. Martin.
Hey.
Both of those are very prolific and well-respected names, so I take that only as a compliment. I sense that Rune. He's not I wouldn't say he's a bit of a dickhead. He's just austere and Spartan. Mad Wolf doesn't partake. Color me disappointed. Wait till book 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, that was him in real life, man. Short and sweet. The next chapter, yeah, but man, yeah, things start getting you. The steps were real? No way. I'm shocked to the core. Sex scene, obviously. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Yeah, damn it.
Oh no.
I found one more little correction. I was missing dialogue tag on the So when I'm done with this read through, I am gonna have to re-upload to Barnes and Nobles one final time.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is all right.
Mostly fixed.
Yeah.
It's the 99% better one. Oh, I'm not sure what you sex scene. Obviously, what? What is he talking about, Caitlin?
Oh, when you said more Amnes, you gave them an entire chapter of dinner at her house, and he's saying that he was expecting
a sex scene.
Yes.
The steps were real.
Yeah, he said, you asked me what more I wanted.
Ah, yes. He's
like, sex scene, obviously.
Well, my friend, I'm not going to spoil, but wait for the third book. I'm an evil bastard. I really should get some studio time and a sound engineer and record the audiobooks for book 1 and 2.
Yes, you should.
They get into it. Oh yeah. That's not a promise. I was just going with the bit. That's not that's not a spoiler. Unless it is. Or maybe.
You have ravenous fans. They're gonna take what you say as law and then be like, he said it. It has to be canon.
What are ninja? People who aren't ninjas didn't invent poison darts. You realize that there's African tribes that use that shit. In fact, I think the book is actually an invention of Aboriginal tribes. I could be wrong about that, but I think so.
Well, what, poison darts?
Yeah,
and blowguns. Yep, there have been people choking themselves on inhaling instead of blowing for thousands of years before the ninjas.
Caitlin, stop! Well, now you know, man. Didn't you guys like invade Africa? Shouldn't you know that shit?
Oh man.
But yep, that is
what?
That is this week's installment. Everyone, The Garden of Lies. About Mason's comments, you can actually The Garden of Lies.
There you go.
Available pretty much wherever books are sold. Yes. If you want, you could even email me. I have plenty of copies lying around my room. I'd sign one and send it to you. We could figure out the payment method.
Yeah.
History equals World War II, and that's it. Oh, that is fucked. That is fucked. Even I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that the school system did me right. I consume pop culture avidly, and then I would ask my parents routinely, "Hey, is that thing I saw in that movie accurate?" And they would say, "Well, yes," and then my parents are prolific readers, so they knew the real shit.
Yeah.
So I would ask them, and they would either correct me or tell me, no, that's Hollywood bullshit. It's, when I think about it, it is actually amazing how much of my knowledge just about the world and history and science I literally learned entirely orally through asking my parents questions and my dad giving me lectures on road trips.
That's not a bad way to learn.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's beautiful. I'm just it's kind of mind-boggling for me to think about.
Yeah.
So, anyways, hope everyone had a good fucking time. See you next week for chapter 12. What is chapter 12? Chapter 12. I remember what happened. I don't remember what it's called, and I just want
to something about this mountain.
This mountain won't hold me forever.
Yes.
And one last comment from Mason. I was too busy playing fields, swinging sticks around, and pretending they were swords to learn. That's a whole ass mood, and if I'd gone to public school, that would have been me too. All right, next week, Garden of Lies, chapter 12. This mountain won't hold me forever. It's gonna start getting the plot is gonna start unraveling in front of you guys, and I'm really excited to share it with you. I'll see y'all then. Welcome to Garden.
Dun, dun, dun.